Coach, I guess first question, just where are y'all at with the calendar right now, and what all are you allowed to do for the rest of the summer?
Yeah, we're back on the floor. We chose to start yesterday, so we get 8 weeks on the floor, limited access to our student athletes per the NCAA rules. We get 4 hours of skill instruction Monday through Friday, and then Coach Dominic Walker gets 4 hours of strength and conditioning for a total of 8. Not on the weekends, just weekdays. That'll be 8 weeks, structured around 8 weeks of summer school at the same time. They've changed the rules where if you're good to go academically, you don't necessarily have to take as many hours as you used to, and that's an individual decision that the kids make on their own depending on where they're at academically and what their goals are. So yesterday was the first day and we're off and running.
We'll go to Jacob to Coach's right, and then we'll head over to Sam in the middle.
Coach, I'm sure it varies depending on the year, but what were some things when you were recruiting the transfer portal, what were some things you were looking for, and kind of what were you looking for, basically?
Yeah, good question. Every year it's different. When the dust settles, certainly know who you've signed in the November recruiting class, but you've kind of got to wait a little bit to know exactly what you're seeking, depending on your portal departures. So that was in real time, and combine that with how we felt a lot during the season. We needed to get bigger, we needed to get better on the glass, which is hard for me to admit because most of my teams historically have been really good in the rebounding department, but we felt like we had too many games where that was maybe a difference in the win-loss column. So we tried to shore that up that way, and then didn't shoot the ball obviously from three very well after coming off a year where we shot it much better in our second year, especially compared to our first year. So we've been here 3 years now, and we've sandwiched a decent shooting team with two poor three-point shooting teams. So certainly tried to address that, but we thought going into the year, just to be frank with you, that we had addressed it. I thought we had enough guys that could shoot the ball, and for whatever reason, as a group, we didn't end up shooting it as well as we anticipated, nor that we even started the season. And I don't know all the whys of that, but there was where the two biggest areas that we wanted to address is just having more guys that could shoot the ball, put the ball in the hole, and then certainly rebound the basketball.
Sam, go ahead.
I know some other teams have this challenge too, but what was it just like navigating the transfer portal while also not knowing for certain if Josh was going to be back or stay in the NBA draft, kind of structuring a roster without knowing that in the moment?
I mean, from my conversations with Josh and his family, just glad that they went through that process. Hopefully he learned a lot. Knowing Josh, I'm confident that he did. But we had great communication, behind the scenes throughout the process. So I had a pretty good idea that unless something crazy happened, which if it did, it did. But we went through that process, thinking for the most part that Josh was going to be a part of our basketball team. And I don't remember the exact date, but probably before the public knew. But regardless of that, I mean, a lot of programs, have to like you asked, have to deal with that issue, and we were no different this year.
We'll go to Danny P. and then back to Paul, Coach's left.
Coach, Sean Jones, he's very good at what he does on the court and the minutes he gets. Just talk about what his return to the team, how it impacts the team.
Yeah, we're excited for Sean, excited for us to have Sean back. He's not a guy that is a leading scorer or a big minute guy even, but he's helped us win a lot of basketball games. I've said this many times, but he somehow finds a way to get himself on the floor when it's hard, especially the last few minutes of a lot of the games that he's played in. He'll be our first 4-year guy that we've had. He matched, kind of our arrival. he came in with us that summer. He was a late signee, didn't get here till the fall. So he's behind the eight ball a little bit going into his freshman year. But, you know, in this era that we're coaching in, you know, to have a 4-year player right off the bat is cool. I mean, it's not going to be the norm anymore. It'll be the exception, I think. And I think it speaks volumes to what Sean values and what he's about. And, you know, certainly going into a senior year, and albeit a very short time period, he's already shown, you know, a willingness to step up and have a bigger voice. Certainly, you know, it's easy for 2 days, and hopefully it's something that he'll continue doing because he's earned that right. You know, the guys know he's been here a long time. Certainly the recruits followed us closely, you know, once they signed with us in the fall. And it's been a so far so good situation with him that way.
In your first 3 years here, I guess, at the center position, you've had Tolu and Keyshawn, and you may disagree with me, but I would kind of consider them more offensive-minded centers. You went and got Quincy from Wichita State, who's more of that rim protector, more of a defensive-minded guy. How does that change your defensive approach this year, adding a guy like him?
Yeah, I'm not gonna disagree with you on the first part of your question. And I basically, you know, answered that with what our focus was on going into the portal season, on what we were trying to address. And I really felt like we just needed to be better around the basket defensively. You know, in a league where there's so many good players, there's so much physicality around the basket, and there's so many opposing players that have the ability to break the defense down and get to the rim. And you add that with just how many ball screens are employed each and every game, and the level of what's going on in those ball screens. You know, having a quarterback on defense or a goalie, it would be probably more appropriate, is a big advantage. And I've never felt like we've had that since we've been here. A guy that, you know, can protect the lane, protect the rim, protect some of the guys out front if they're getting beat. Certainly not trying to, you know, put a ton of pressure or weight on his back walking in the door, but it's a big reason why, you know, we went after him the way we did. Just from, you know, looking at his video, looking at his numbers, we felt like, you know, he was a great fit for what we were looking for, and obviously he felt the same once he did his homework and you know, cast his lot with us. So you know, we're excited to have him. Certainly we got a long way to go, but just on paper, you know, he is exactly what we were looking for.
Go ahead, Sam, and then we'll get to David in the middle.
I know it's super early, but just what are your impressions of the freshman class and how they maybe could contribute right away for you?
Yeah, they're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. You know, enthusiasm's off the chart. The togetherness, the work ethic, the bounce in their step. But obviously I've been doing it long enough now, and I think the kids hate when I tell them this, and I haven't even shared it with them yet, but I don't enjoy as much maybe as I used to the first couple days of the return, just because there's a lot of fake going on, you know, across the country. If you don't have enthusiasm and a bounce in your step on the day one, day two, first week, second week, then probably gonna be a long year, you know, for that particular program. But so my thing is, yeah, we got to start there. You know, I'm glad that we did. But you know, ask me day 21 or day 42, and I'll give you a better idea of how the new guys are doing. But having said that, you know, again, a day and one full day and a workout and is all we are as we speak. So not sure if we'll talk later in the summer, but you know, time will tell.